The Christmas holidays. Time to fire up the machines and play some games. Maybe play something off the shelf that's been staring at you for the past year, you've never got round to play yet. But KidShoryuken obviously doesn't want me to play anything in my back catalogue. Those games are going to stay on the shelf a little bit longer. For just before Christmas, I got not one but 2 KidShoryuken game boxes. On the unlikely event that you don't know who KidShoryuken is, he is a retro connoisseur of the finest vintages that the gaming geniuses out in Japan have produced, and he makes some cracking videos about even life in Japan and obviously games, and even some beer sometimes. As part of his fantastic Patreon service, he actually will introduce you directly to some of these fantastic games by sending you a game box. Now I know the service is very popular, so I don't think he's got many slots left, but I'll put the details below if it interests you. So rather than playing cotton, let's see what Jim sent me. So the boxes are prepared and opened, addresses removed, and first out is Area 88. Okay, not a bad start. A Super Famicom box game, Capcom 2 and a shooter. That's quite impressive. Yeah, Area 88 or UN Squadron in the West. I asked Jim specifically to get me boxed SNES games. Or Super Famicom games, because I just love the artwork. The Japanese versions are fantastic. I mean, just look at that artwork, it's glorious. You look at the UN Squadron box art, it's terrible. There's no thought, there's no design behind it, it's just simple, but that's just incredible. And I actually do have this game, I do love this game, just a loose copy, but I wanted to upgrade. Hence, I specifically mentioned, please only get me boxed Super Famicom games. I do also have the PCB, probably sort of sticking out on my shelf on the CPS1 box games. It's fantastic. Okay, good start. What's next up? Well, Saturn game, and it is the Capcom Generation 3. Yes, some more Capcom goodness. I'm really happy to get this one. I haven't got any of the Capcom Generation sets for the Saturn. I'd love to get the whole lot of them actually. Nudge nudge wink wink, say no more Jim. Next box, yes please. So Volume 3 includes 4 absolute classics from very early Capcom days. We're talking about pre-Commando, so we're talking about Z80 hardware. So Capcom were new at the scene in the arcades at this time, and they were still experimenting, and they're also copying little bits and pieces here and there. But these are historically really important games for Capcom and for the arcade. So what was included? Well, Pirate Ship Hichimaru. It's an absolute classic. It plays a little bit like Pengu. I know there was an NES version released, but that plays completely differently to the arcade. Next up you got Sun Sun, which is sort of just a level sort of jumping and shooting game. It's a lot of fun. I'd love to get the original of this one. There's a sequel on the PC Engine. So the last 2 games are both shooters. You got XEXes, which was Savage Bees. I believe also came out on the Nintendo. But the real pick here is definitely Vulgus. It was an amazing classic shooter. You might have noticed it on my Capcom PCB wall. But it's highly underrated in my humble opinion. 1942 got all the praise and all the glory, but this is a really good game for its day. Yes, I know, there's so many ways to play these games these days, but I think the Saturn seems a really fitting home for them. So box 1, we are 2 down, 2 to go, and next out is a PC Engine game, and it is Genjishujin HDama. Apologies for completely butchering the name, that's exactly why you need experts like KidShoryuken to guide you on the proper pronunciation. This is a great example of why these game boxes are so fantastic. I've seen the cover of this game multiple times on Yahoo auctions, but always stayed clear, never touched it because I didn't know anything about it. I thought maybe it's an RPG or something. So it's fantastic to actually get to play this game, and it's really good, really good. It's a run and gun, may I say. Very similar to Chelnov, which is Atomic Runner, I think. Yeah, you just keep on running, left, right, shooting everything. So far it seems a lot of fun. It plays really well. It may get a little bit repetitive after a while, but it's definitely worth picking up and getting in your collection. So just one game left in the box, and it is another PC Engine game. It's Twinbee. Always extremely happy to get a shooter on the PC Engine, and Twinbee is a fantastic one, or cute 'em up should I say in this case. And all the Konami ones are pretty good actually. They got 4 on the PC Engine. They got Salamander, Gradius, Proteus, this one, and of course they've got Force Gear as well, but that doesn't really count because it's sort of a hidden game on a dating sim. Twinbee is absolutely amazing. There's everything about it, it's just pure quality. It just oozes nostalgia. It's got amazing graphics and sprites, the atmosphere, the sounds, especially the gameplay. It's smooth as butter, it really is. Yeah, I know there's a huge list of absolutely amazing shooters on the PC Engine, and this one probably won't you get anywhere near most people's top 10s. But you'd be foolish to overlook this one. It has a lot of charm, and definitely worth being in your collection. So it's half time, 1 box down, 1 box to go, and first out is a Mega Drive game, and it is Mystic Defender or Spellcaster 2. So I've finally got a complete version of this game. I'm so happy. Strangely enough, I've had a loose copy for about 7 or 8 years now. I got a lot of loose Mega Drive games from Japan, and you always end up with thousands of these RPGs you can't really play unless you know Japanese. Now you end up with loads of Shining Force and Phantasy Stars, which would be great if they were the American version, but in Japan there were so many of them, they're like dirt cheap, and they just put them all in these lots. So it sort of got mixed up with those ones. I didn't realise what kind of game it was until recently. I found it was Spellcaster 2, and it was a running gun. So I played the game, it's fantastic, and straight away this went on my list of games I needed to get a upgrade to. And so Jim must have read my mind. Thank you, Jim, for your powers. Or it could be just I've got so many games I'm trying to pick up that, yeah, okay. Again, Mega Drive is a good start. What is next? We've got a Saturn game, and it is Kaitai Daisensu, the utter arcade legend that is In the Hunt by Irem. What a game this is. It's absolutely fantastic. Again, Jim using his mind powers to know exactly what kind of games I love. I've got the PCB of this. This is how much I love this game. I also do have the US Saturn version, yes, but I don't care. I don't have the Japanese version. Look at the box art on that. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. The US is so bland, but that's just fantastic. I don't know if there's much differences between the US and Japanese versions. I'd love to check that out. There is no escaping the comparisons to the Metal Slug series, you know, the design, the colours, the graphics, the sprites, the atmosphere, the humour, everything is in the same vein as the Metal Slug series, and that's why I absolutely adore it. It's just a shame they didn't deal with the slowdown on the Saturn version. Real shame. Otherwise it would have been one of the best games on the system if it wasn't for that. Okay. That's a pretty damn good start, and next up is a very big hitter, Mars Matrix on the Dreamcast. That is a big hitter. Now this is an absolutely amazing shooter, and of course it being Capcom, I do have the PCB, the CPS2 game of this. What can I say? It's hard, really hard. It's made me cry numerous times. It's fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it's tough. I don't know how the Dreamcast version compares to it. I only had a quick look. It gave me nightmares booting it up and taking the footage, but I am definitely giving some time. I'm guessing there's some extra features as well that sort of adds some value and replay. They always do that on these games, but it is a fantastic game. But yes, it's made me cry like a small child. So we're down to our last game, and it is Neketsu Okayo Hot Blooded Family. Again, apologies for the Japanese name pronunciation. We'll stick with Hot-Blooded Family. The title always sounds a little bit dodgy. I don't know what it is with the Japanese, but they always make their titles just a little bit risque. I don't know if it's a translation or whether they do it on purpose, but there's nothing risky or dodgy about this game unless you've got a fetish for octopus wearing boxing gloves. It's a cool little brawler, exclusive to Japan on the PlayStation 1, obviously by Technosoft. I believe it was also a launch title in Japan. Strange enough, it didn't make it to the West, probably because it's 2D rather than 3D, and you know what it's like at the time. It's like, oh, new hardware, everything's got to be 3D, otherwise it's old and rubbish, which is a real shame because it would have done really well. It's a fairly simple brawler. It doesn't break any new ground, but what it does well. So the graphics and sound are pretty good. You've got your normal 3 characters that sort of slightly vary between the strength and speed. Of course, it's got its wacky Japanese storyline and wacky characters that come in that you fight. Like I said, including octopus with boxing gloves. And in this game, yes, you get eaten by a whale and you fight inside a whale. But it's a cool game. You definitely want to get this one. Well, that's all the games. Thank you very much for watching to the end. Apologies for my voice. Just got over a little bit of illness. I was a little bit poorly over Christmas, but that's all good now. So one thing left to do, and that's to thank KidShoryuken himself for packing such a wonderful box and full of goodness and great games. And also, it's probably time to drink a beer, play some games, I think. Thank you very much, guys, and I will see you guys again next year. Laters.